Good day, everyone. This is a continuation of the discussion in the preschool and educational assessment, of which I will be discussing the psychoeducational test batteries. So I am with my groupmates Johanny Marie P. Senyosa and Carl Jason P. B. Shera. So for the topic outline, I am to discuss the definition of psychoeducational test batteries, the Kaufman Assessment Battery for Children, its second edition, and the Woodcock-Johnson, the fourth. So, as definition, psychoeducational test batteries are designed to provide a comprehensive assessment of an individual's strengths and weaknesses across a wide range of skills and abilities. It contains two types of tests. That measures abilities related to academic success and that measures educational achievement in areas such as reading and arithmetic. So, since our topic is on preschool, so expect that the test takers are, of course, like around 2 years old. So therefore, yung um, yung skills ng individuals na matitest dito or ma-assess yung strengths and weaknesses ng individuals dito is of course very minimal pa lang kasi bata yung iti-test. And however, wide range naman yung skills and abilities na iti-test dito. And this test gets or the data derived from these test batteries allow for a normative comparisons, how the student compares with other students within the same age group. Of course, when you say normative comparison kasi, kumbaga, compare mo yung data ng isang test taker, of course, with the same age group ba yan, or ethnicity, or gender, there. So, as well as an evaluation of the test taker's own strengths and weaknesses as mentioned, all the better to plan educational interventions. Since we are talking on educational assessment, so therefore, yung magiging result ng test batteries or ng test assessments na ito will be helpful in creating educational interventions or plans for interventions in the educational setting para mas mapa-wider and broader yung scope and mapa-improve yung say setting ng education. So, um, the domains that most typically represented in these tests are the cognitive or the intellectual activities and the broad-based academic achievements. So again, it still focuses on the academic side and the cognitive and intellectual side of an individual. Also, these also is represented by a variety of subtests designed to assess the specific features of their respective domains. So for the cognitive or intellectual activities, subtests that access specific features of intellectual development, like short and long-term memory and fluid crystallized reasoning. For the academic achievement naman, organized tasks associated with the process of schooling, like reading, spelling, mathematics, or written expressions. So usually, yung content ng mga psychoeducational test batteries for preschools, since kailangan hindi ma-bore yung mga test takers mo ng mga 2 years old, ng mga 4 years old, ng mga toddlers pa, kailangan very interacting siya and at the same time fun, engaging, ganon. So usually, yung test includes triangles, face recognition, pattern reasoning, block counting, story completion, conceptual thinking, word order, number recall, hand movements, riddles, expressive vocabulary, and verbal knowledge. However, this does not limit these. Marami pang other types of content on the psychoeducational test batteries. But these are some of the few. Kasi as I've mentioned, kailangan hindi ma-bore yung test takers mo para ma-continue nila na masagutan na interestingly and parang masagutan nila honestly yung tanong kasi parang from one page to another interesting yung pieces of tests. So, as mentioned, the Kaufman Assessment Battery for Children uses two kinds of information processing skills identified by Lung and his students. So, these are the sequential processing and the simultaneous processing. So when we say sequential processing, shorter definition is the ability to solve problems by using a sequence of steps. Or it refers to a mental process of integrating and understanding stimuli in a particular serial order. Both the perception of stimuli in sequence and the subsequent production of information in a specific arrangement fall under successive processing. So this sequential processing is kumbaga pina-process ng utak mo yung informations, problems na nare-receive niya through a sequence or using a sequence or may steps mga gina-process ng utak mo kung paano siya kumbaga i-comprehend information or i-solve yung problem using a step, kumbaga nakapasunod yan siya. Whereas simultaneous processing is a still a mental process that we use to integrate separate bits of information or stimuli into a whole. Processing a person's face, maps, and graphs, having a good sense of direction, and being able to see how puzzle pieces fit together are examples of simultaneous processing or our ability to synthesize information into a whole. Kumbaga, yung isang maliit na information is bubuuhin natin until magiging isang buo siya na information talaga. So, as example na binigay, for example, may isa kang piece of information ay piece of puzzle and then you slowly building the whole picture of that puzzle. So, that's simultaneous processing. Kumbaga, little by little, konti pa konti na pag ay ka ng onti na information, then magagather mo and then makakabuo ka ng a more bigger information. So that's simultaneous processing. So in 2004, the next generation of the KABC was published, or the revised version of the Kaufman Assessment Battery for Children. So, of course, I think it's a no-brainer that all intelligence tests or any tests gone through many revisions. Even, di ba, the well-known Wechsler-Binet tests, it undergone a lots of revision before siya naging kung ano siya ngayon. So, unang revision there was that in the abbreviation for the title of this test, the authors dropped the hyphen between the K and the ABC and instead inserted a hyphen between the C and the Roman numeral 2. But that was only the beginning. There are changes in the age range covered, the structure of the test, and even the conceptual underpinnings of the test. So, if you can remember, the age range of the first edition of the Kaufman Assessment Battery for Children is 2.5 and 12.5. For the second edition, it was extended upwards from to ages 3 to 18. So, it is because the goal here is to expand the possibility of making ability or achievement comparisons with the same test through high school. Kasi with this age, parang pag 18 ka, high school ka na, di ba? So, kumaga, mas wider and na yung scope ng test na ito. Ibig sabihin, mas marami na yung possible mo na test takers or pwede rin na mas wider na and broader na yung abilities and achievements mo na makakompared mo. Kasi nga, parang sa high school naman sila. And then, sa structure naman, the 10 new subtests were created. So, 8 of the existing subtests were removed and only 8 of the original subtests remained. So, as for the 16 subtests rather, 8 were removed and 8 remained. And then, dinagdagan ng 10 bagong subtests. So, such significant structural changes in the test must be kept in mind by test users making comparisons between test takers of the KABC scores and the KABC2 scores. So, kumbaga, i-take note na pag i-compare na yung result ng test takers from KABC scores and the KABC2 scores, kailangan i-take note na may mga subtest na nawala, may subtest na dagdag, so be very, very careful. So conceptually, the grounding of the ABC in Loria's theory of sequential versus simultaneous processing theory was expanded. So in addition, a grounding in the Cattell-Horn-Carroll or the CHC theory was added. This dual theoretical foundation provides the examiner with a choice as to which a model of test interpretation is optimal for the particular situation. So, if you can remember, the first edition of the CAB-C, yung model na gina-follow nila or yung theory was that of Lorias. However, on the second edition, nagdagdag sila the Cattell-Horn-Carroll theory, dinagdag yun siya. So, ibig sabihin, the test takers now has a choice as or the examiner rather now has a choice as to which anong model ang gagamitin niya to interpret the test result sa kung ano bang model ang fit sa situation. So, as stated in the publisher's promotional materials, you can choose the CHC model for children from a mainstream cultural and language background. If crystallized ability would not be fair indicator of the child's cognitive ability, then you can choose the Lorga model, which excludes verbal ability. So the graph here presents the subtests and indices comprising the CAPC and CAPC2 and the cognitive abilities assessed by each. So wag malito kasi we will discuss it little by little. Okay, so the left panel shows subtests unique to the CAPC. The right panel subtests rather are unique to the CABC2 and the middle panel subtests are the common of the two. So, unahin na natin yung sa CABC. So, sa CABC, yung achievement subtests like the photo series, if you can follow the cursor if naa siya, the photo series dito sa left panel, naka-gray, photo series, the expressive vocabulary, the faces and places, the reading and decoding, the arithmetic, and the riddles for the CAB-C1. For the CAB-C2, we have the verbal knowledge and the expressive knowledge and the riddles. You see na they are shaded as gray. So they are shaded gray because um uh these these subtests assess crystallized knowledge. On the other hand, the CAB-C2 learning subtests, ito, shaded as green, the verbose learning, the Atlantis delayed, and verbose delayed is or are shaded green. These subtests assess the ability to store and retrieve novel information. So again, another one for the CABC2 is the planning subtests, the story completion, and the pattern research. So these are shaded with yellow. So these subtests assesses the ability to solve nonverbal problems that require high-level decision making and reasoning abilities. So for the CABC1 and CABC2 sequential processing and simultaneous processing, they are shaded orange and blue respectively. So for the sequential processing, meron tayo so we have here sa sequential processing, the word order, the number recall, and the hand movements. So if you have noticed, they are shaded as orange. So these subtests assesses the ability to solve problems by coding auditory and visual information presented serially. So for the simultaneous processing naman, yung subtest dito are for the CABC, we have the magic window, the matrix analogies, spatial memory, triangles, face recognition, and gestalt closure. For the CABC2 naman, we have the rover, block counting, conceptual thinking. So they are shaded blue. So these subtests are or assesses the ability to solve spatial or logistical problems that require the processing of many related stimuli simultaneously. So summing scores across these subtests or indices generates a mental processing index or an MPI score, which reflects the child's overall performance on the battery. Sa CABC2 naman, yung summing of scores nila, the hand movements, the block counting, triangles, pattern reasoning, um, until the face recognition subtest generates a non-verbal index or the NVI score. So the set of subtests is used in children for whom a non-verbal measure of cognitive function is deemed appropriate. So for example is those with severe speech or language deficit. So yung subtest on sa CAB2 is on non-verbal side. So another type of educational batteries is the Woodcock-Johnson the fourth. So it is a test of achievement that is individually administered, norm-referenced instrument that is useful for screening, diagnosing, and monitoring progress in reading, writing, and mathematics achievements areas for persons ages 2 to 90 plus years of age. So the Woodcock-Johnson IV sets a new standard for evaluation of individual strengths and weaknesses among contemporary theory-based measures of academic achievement, oral language, and cognitive abilities. So, of course, since may the fourth siya, may mga predecessor siya. Kumbaga, revised version siya. So, whereas its predecessor, the WJ the third, was a psychoeducational test package consisting of two conormed batteries. So, kumbaga, dalawang test batteries lang yung sa predecessor ng WJ the fourth, yung test of achievement and test of cognitive abilities. Itong the fourth naman, or yung Woodcock-Johnson the fourth, consists of three normed test batteries. So, yung nadagdag is the test of achievement and cognitive abilities. So, it's a battery of tests designed to measure oral language ability. So, according to the WJ4 manual, the battery may be used with persons as young as 2 and as old as 90-year-old or older. And still, this Woodcock Johnson the fourth is using the Cattell-Horn-Carroll theory of cognitive abilities. So maybe you're asking why this CHC is very used in the measure of intelligence. So bakit nga ba? So because this CHC is a theory classifies the cognitive skills within 7 clusters of abilities that demonstrates moderate to highly significant correlations to academic achievement skills. So, ibig sabihin, itong theory na ito, kumbaga yung focus niya talaga, yung core niya talaga is parang um, hanapin yung correlations ng academic achievement skills. So, and parang i-classify niya yung cognitive skills into 7 clusters and parang i-rate niya from moderate to highly significant. Kaya, more na nagagamit siya when it comes to the measure of intelligence. So, based on the Cattell-Horn-Carroll theory of cognitive abilities, the WJ4 yields a multitude of measures including a measure of general intellectual ability or the GIA, a measure of fluid abilities or the JEF, a measure of crystallized abilities, GC, and a fluid crystallized composite, GFGC, short-term working memory, GWM, processing speed, GS, auditory processing, GA, long-term storage and retrieval, GLR, and visual processing or GV. So, as you can see here in the table, nakasummarize na siya yung core test ng Woodcock Johnson the fourth, yung core test niya, kung ano yung gina-measure niya, and kung ano yung broad CHC ability or yung Cattell-Horn Carroll cognitive ability. So, for the first test, we have the oral vocabulary. So yung gina-test niya is the knowledge of words and word meanings. So that's JC, oral vocabulary. Then we have the number series. Yung gina-measure niya is quantitative reasoning, verbal attention. Gina-measure niya is yung temporary storage of verbal information and the cue-dependent search function in primary memory. Test 4 naman is the letter pattern matching or the orthographic visual perceptual discrimination ability under time condition. The test 5 is the phonological processing. It measures the word activation, fluency of word access, and word restructuring via phonological cues. The test 6 is the story recall. It measures listening ability with attention to orally imparted details, formation of mental representations in the stimulus phase, story reconstruction in the response phase. The last core test is the visualization. It measures the size and shape perception, part to whole analysis, and mentally transforming 2 and 3 dimensional images. So in addition, tests that rely on the CHC theory can help provide new ways of conceptualizing psychoeducational problems as well as some novel interventions. As I have mentioned earlier, the CHC theory focuses on um, um, looking the correlation of cognitive abilities to academic achievement skills. So therefore, most important, mas makaka-help siya in providing new ways in conceptualizing psychoeducational problems since yun naman talaga yung focus ng CHC. So that ends our report in here. These are our references. If you have questions, queries, corrections in my report, please do not hesitate to PM me or ask me, and I'll find time to answer your questions. Thank you so much and have a good day.